Good to be back with all of you here today. And today we're talking about how to not just survive Corona, but to thrive Corona. So for those of you who were in the last webinar that I did, which was about how to come out of the Corona cocoon, either as a moth, sloth, or butterfly, you'll know that we spoke about quite a few cool things around diet and exercise and installing some really good routines in your life as well. And also focusing on the things that you could control and accepting the things that you couldn't. And today is just a really good next step into the whole process of Corona and how we can actually start to thrive in the situation that we're in. There's a lot of doom and gloom and, stuff coming out. And, if you watch the news too much, you can be, you can go into a bit of a downward spiral. So I think what we're going to be doing today is really just focusing on some of the positives that are actually coming out of all of this. Because if you look at any situation in life, there is always positive to come out of any negative experience. There's always a silver lining, no matter how tragic or hard the event might be. And today is all about, let's really focus on some of the positives that have come out of it and how we can change our mindsets. I'm also going to be introducing a concept to you all called Ikigai and how we can Ikigai our lives. And just hands up, who's heard of Ikigai before? Yeah, Shannon, you've heard of it. Good. Neil, Kim, no? Okay, great. So this is going to be a new concept for a lot of you. It is one of the most life-changing concepts if you start incorporating it into your life. So I'm actually excited for the ones who haven't heard of it. And Shannon, you can add anything of value as well if you choose to when we get there. So I just want to kickstart with a really cool quote by Cynthia Selly. This is a quote that I heard many years ago and I've used it a lot in practice. So for a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must first come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. Okay, it's a very, very powerful quote. It's very much about, in life, growth generally tends to occur when there's adversity and pain. And when things are going really well and easily and, we're on holiday and we're chilling and business is busy and we've got lots of clients coming in, there's actually not a lot of growth occurring. But the universe will generally tend to bring you back to a state of balance. And for your greater good, the universe actually wants you to be growing, okay? So in many ways, Corona's most likely come about just to have the world come to a bit of a pause for a moment, to have a rebreather and to reset and realize, what is it that we actually need to now be accomplishing and focusing on to enhance our lives? So I want to just move on to the next slide and just briefly explain to you all as well that life, we have choices. There's always a choice. And we're either going to choose to believe that life is happening to us or life is happening for us, okay? Now, if life is happening to us, what it generally tends to mean is that it generally tends to mean that you are in victim mode. You are blaming, denying, justifying. Like we all know, Corona has hit, okay? And it's okay to be in this state of victimhood for a short period of time. You just don't want to live here. Because if you do live here, you become just like the statue, okay? And literally, life will just essentially shit all over you all the time and you won't move. So this is something that a lot of people found themselves in early in the day, okay? And some people are still finding themselves in this headspace. And this is something we need to choose to move out of. We need to really adopt the theory of, or the thought that life is happening for us, okay? Now, when life is happening for you, even though adversity may be occurring, you just know that you can handle it. You take accountability, even if business has gone down and you're realizing that income has come down a bit, you're accountable for that. And you now start to find ways, like having a growth mindset, of how you can overcome this, move forward and enhance your life and enhance your business, as well as upskilling yourself. So I love this picture of this lady because you know what? She's being crapped on by a bird. And she's finding it funny, she'll probably move her scarf over to the side when she has brunch with her friends. No one will see it. And it's a great story to tell everyone. And I'm hoping that there'll be great stories for us to all share when we come out of this. So I'd like those who want to just unmute yourselves if you wish, and just share, what are you kind of picking up on the theme thus far? What are you sort of realizing with where we're heading in this moment? Darren, you look, oh, someone's going to say something. Shannon?
Well, you know me, I'm always going to have something to say. What I think is interesting about where we're at is there's so many lessons that we can take from it, and we've actually been given space in order to actually take action on those lessons. So the concept of life is we're either a victim or a victor to our lives is one of those foundational things of how we can have a better life. So if we can kind of take that now, then that's going to actually hold us in good stead in the future.
100%. So this is where people take on that victor mentality and they learn from whatever's happening. Those who stay stagnant are 100% going to actually come out of this on the other side, having perhaps been no better and maybe even worse off from the whole, event. I think what we also need to take into consideration is that there is duality in everything that happens in life. As I was saying, good things come out of bad experiences, and not so good things come out of good experiences as well. It all depends on what you choose to focus on. Okay, so just kind of curious, who's had an experience during Corona that's actually worked out pretty damn well? Like you've learned something that's going to help benefit you in your future business dealings. Yep, Darren, go for it.
I think the benefit for me is it's forced me to learn new technology, and that I can actually now move my business forward in a different way. I didn't use Zoom before ever. I hated it. And so then I was forced to do that. Now I'm possibly looking at Slack, for example, and all these different technology forum platforms that you can use. So I think that's a great thing, but also reviewing the way I do business. We've had to adapt and do it differently. So it does give you sort of a new platform to just reset and restart and guide it the way you want it to go again. So
completely agree. It's just you've upskilled yourself essentially, and you've embraced technology, which is good. Yeah, go for it, Neil.
I was just going to say, our practice is pretty much a traditional canning practice. We've got 40 staff, and when we we're talking about everyone working remotely, it was a real concern as to are people actually going to work? Are they just going to be sitting at home playing video games or whatever it is? But it's actually been quite refreshing to see that productivity within my staff have actually increased. And it's really given us an opportunity to make our work environment probably a little bit more flexible, because we know that they're going to do their work and they're doing the right thing and ticking all the boxes. So that for us has probably opened us up in terms of how we actually work going out of the other side of Corona. We probably have some more flexibility around what we're doing, which has been really good.
Yeah, fantastic. I've heard that from a lot of even of my own clients as well, saying that these Zoom meetings have been a lot more productive. People aren't speaking over each other. Everyone's being a lot more sort of just directional and taking the feedback and moving on and getting on with their days, which is great. Chloe, you're nodding, and I think you wanted to put your hand up earlier. What did you have to add to that?
Basically what Neil just said, just seconding that, just seeing how much of a success working remotely with my staff has been, and being able to use it as an incentive in future as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Very, very good observation. Hey, Kim, have you come across anything that's come out of this that's been really positive for you and your
Yes, very much, because especially for my team, we are frontliners. So we're going to meet businesses, we service our members, and work with business groups. So we are all actually individuals running our own show. For example, for me, I cover the Greater Dandenong area, so I service about 800 members there.
Wow.
So yeah, and what we do is I only meet my colleagues, my teammates. There are maybe about 12 of us, maybe once a week, going to the office for a short meeting, and then we're out again. So now what we do is that we have the Zoom catch up every morning and every evening, debriefing.
Yeah.
And at first we felt shy. We switched off the video. And now we are all dying to see each other. So videos.
It's true.
Yes, and we kind of share a lot of things. We bring in a lot of positive thing to cheer up everyone. And for example, like it's so sunny like this, we say, okay, cut the meeting short. Let those who have got dogs go and walk their dogs and all those things. We're starting to get a bit more into the non-work area as well. So it's really wonderful, I find.
That's fantastic. What I've actually from a lot of
taking
clients,
that.
Yeah.
Sorry, and taking that this photo, this lady, I suppose is really the mindset that everything that happens to you, you look at it from a half cup, half full thing, and say, hey, what is this that I can actually learn from this? For example, maybe she's thinking that, oh, what are the chances that this thing can drop on me? You know, 1 in a million or something, and I'm actually very lucky today to get that. So. Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. It all just depends on the outlook you have on life. I've heard from a lot of clients that they've said they've really enjoyed the Zoom meetings because they're seeing where people live and they're seeing the backs of their rooms and that sort of thing. And they've actually appreciated seeing kids running across the screen or animals as well. It's humanized people in a way that I think we didn't get to see prior to all of this happening. So lots of positive stuff coming out of it. So thanks to everyone for sharing. We're going to move on now to some Ikigai. This is the bit that I've been so excited to share with all of you. So look at that Venn diagram, everyone. I want to describe Ikigai to you and its origins as well. So Ikigai comes out of Okinawa, which is an island off Japan. And it's where we find a very high percentage of centennials, people who live for longer, people who are healthier than the average general population, and they seem to be a lot happier. Now, the theory behind their successful longevity is that they do embrace Ikigai, which is the concept that comes out of the region, and it really does mean reason for being. This is your reason for jumping up out of bed in the morning and beginning your day. Now, granted, they also eat very healthily, so they have a higher protein, low carb diet, and they have lots of vegetables in their diet too. And there's a lot of community within their particular region, and they support each other. But this embracing of Ikigai plays a huge role. So essentially, we all want to reach a point in life where we have Ikigai occurring. And Ikigai, as I said, is the reason for being. So if we look at the first circle, we literally have, you need to include something that is something that you love in your life. You must have or include stuff that you love. And if you have that, you want to also find things that you are good at, okay? Things that you can get paid for and things that the world needs. And when you find stuff in your life that intersects and meets all of those criteria, you then find your Ikigai. Now, it might be in your love life, it might be in your work life. Ideally, you want to find it in all areas of your life, okay? So let's just start with like what you love. If you do find something that you love in life and you are good at it, and those are the only two circles that meet or match, then you found a passion. Okay, you can't monetize it because you're good at it, you love it, but that's about it, okay? But it is a passion that feels good. It could even become a hobby, okay? If you can link those two circles with something you can get paid for, now not only do you have a hobby, you've now got a profession. You're good at it, you love it, and you get paid for it. It feels good. This is going into work and feeling relatively cool about what you do. It's not entirely fulfilling, but it meets a lot of needs. If we can add then something that meets the world's needs, okay, to something that you love, you're good at, and you can get paid for, now you have a vocation. When you have a vocation, you have purpose in your life. And to be driven by purpose and staying true north, now it feels damn good to be doing what you're doing. And if you intersect what you love with what the world needs, you're on a mission, because it's within all of us to want to contribute. It's one of our 6 core needs to the world and to others around us. So if you find something in your life that meets all of those needs, you are going to have a very happy, healthy life. So if I use myself as an example, okay, and then I'll branch off to one or two of you and you can tell me if you feel you've got ikigai in your life in an area. I love what I do. I absolutely love connecting with people, influencing people in a healthy way, seeing people grow and improve their mindsets. I know I'm now good at it. I don't think I was too good at it when I was like first out in practice, because, you know, I didn't have that much life experience. I'll never forget a client of mine that I was treating for menopause. She said to me during the session, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 24. And she goes, "What the hell would you know? You're just a baby," right? And I'd have to have agreed with her back in the day, all right? It was a bit scary when someone asked me the same question when I was 35 and told me I was a baby still. I thought, wow, okay. How much older do I need to get? Anyway, so I know now, based on all the development work that I've done and the courses, that I know I'm good at what I do now, but we never land. So I just want to make that distinction. We're always having room for improvement. So the moment you think that you're done and you're as good as it gets, that's when you start declining. Okay, so be careful of that. I know I get paid for what I do. I can tell that I get paid for what I do. And I know that the world needs what I do more than ever, because with Corona, there's more uncertainty. There's lots of change. And guess what? Generally, the population doesn't like uncertainty and doesn't like change. So if I add all of those things up, this is why when I'm working with a client at the end of a consult, I'm often empowered and I'm almost salivating with excitement. I love being in that person's company. So I don't actually wear out. And even if I've got a busy day of clients, I'm actually buzzing at the end of the day. So who wants to share with me, if they, and all of us, whether they feel like in an area of their life, it doesn't have to be work, could be some other area of their life where they've actually found that they've got some ikigai happening. Anyone, if you want to put up your hand, go for it. Yep, go for it, Darren. Hand went up.
I remember many years ago when I was in health insurance, and I always hated it, and it's like, and it wasn't something that I loved. So that I always thought, okay, what am I good at? What do I really love? And I like talking. I'm really good at talking.
You are.
Pardon?
You are good at talking.
And so therefore, so now roll those years forward, I'm doing networking, which I love to connect people, and I love people, and I love being around them. It's like you, I thrive when I have meetings with people. So I get that buzz. So, and I'm now getting paid to talk as well. So.
Yeah. So you've really incorporated what you love. You are damn good at it. Anyone who knows you well would know that the way you run Fresh and the way Fresh is going and how it's going from strength to strength, you are damn good at what you do, and recruiting the right people as well. Yes, you get paid for it. And the world, more than anything else now, needs connection and people to come together as a global family. And that's what Fresh is all about. So I can see how you're meeting all of your needs. And when days are going well, I'm sure you're feeling quite blissed out. Obviously, Corona comes along and it does add a level of complexity. And that's okay as well, because in life, we're not meant to be up all the time. We're meant to be balanced. So there are going to be days where we're down. It doesn't mean that you've lost your ikigai that day. It just means that you're just having a rough time on that day, and it will pass. Who else wants to share where they've got a bit of ikigai in another area of their life, or it could be work? Shannon, I think you had your hand up at one point, or you were about to.
I did, but Linda had her hand up and we haven't heard from her, so. Go
for it.
Hi, everybody. Sorry to join you a little bit late this morning. I'm really happy that I did, though. I love this whole concept of Ikigai. So I learned really, really young how much I love to find out how people tick. So, you know, what it is that we actually do inside our minds. And I'm so lucky because that's what I do in my work now. And like you, Sean, at the end of the day, I can be buzzing. But we do have to watch that, don't we? That we don't sort of tip over too far, and make sure that we also take really good care of ourselves. But yeah, great discussion. Thank you.
I'm loving it. I've actually just seen everybody else who's joined the call. It's so wonderful to see all the new faces. I had my screen not on gallery, so welcome. And I absolutely loved your webinar that you did the other day as well. So thanks for joining. Hey. Yeah, is there anyone else that wants to share somewhere in their life that they've got a bit of ikigai in their life? Who wants to share something that they know that they love? And it might not be something work related. It's just something in your life. It could be a hobby. What are some of the things that you absolutely love doing? And these are things that no one has to make you do it, okay? So even if there isn't something that comes into mind right now, just think about the things that you do naturally every day. No one tells you to do it. No one forces you to do it. You just do it naturally. What might that be? Anyone else? Okay, yes, your hand up there, Shannon.
I've developed a plant hoarding problem.
Say that again.
And I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I've got probably over 50 plants so far.
Yeah.
And I love it. I've got, one here, one there, one there, one there, one there, 3 there, 1 there. And I love looking at the plants, and they make me feel really good. And I actually now propagate them and give them away as gifts.
Yeah, I've gotten one of you.
I love being able to turn up at someone's house, pre-COVID, and say, here, thank you very much for this. I made this, I created this. So that's something that I've become really passionate about. And I, touch wood, I haven't killed any, yet, too many yet. So I think I'm doing okay at it.
The cactus you gave me is the first cactus I've not killed either. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You've contributed to my green thumb. So Shannon, what you've described there is something that you love. You clearly are good at growing them. You're able to share them with others because the world needs that. I absolutely love the gift you gave me. So thank you. You probably just haven't monetized it yet. So, and that's okay. But I'm just saying, it
was a thought yesterday, I have to be honest.
Well, if you had charged me for it, you would have found your ikigai. There we go. Okay? Good. So I want you all to know that, there is lag time. So even if you haven't found your ikigai right now, there is plenty time to find your ikigai. And one way to actually do it is to sit down and list all these 4 criteria, things that you love, things that you're good at, things you get paid for, and whether the world needs it. And actually start now to list all those things, okay? And if you can find a list and there are common things that come up in each list, circle them. And then if there's something missing, perhaps it's not something that you think the world needs, think laterally, think outside the square and see if you can find your ikigai within it. So something I want to share with all of you is that I do get ikigai within the work that I do. And I also have a very strong affinity for animals as well. I care a lot about nature. And I think in order to take my business to the next level would be to link what I do to an animal charity. So even though I'm dealing with people on a daily basis, I have a keen interest. On some level, I wish I was actually working with animals, okay, and really creating beautiful a contribution, or on a global level. So one can always link the business you're in, even if it's not something that's creating a complete ikigai for you, with something more meaningful, and perhaps you can then devote some of that money to that cause, and then find your ikigai. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, for sure. So any questions around ikigai? Anything that somebody finds a bit confusing or wants to ask more questions around it, please do so. Yeah, hey, go for it. I can't see.
Sean.
Hey, Lauren. Oh,
hey. Yeah, I have a question. I've got lots of things that I love, like hobbies, but I wonder what your thoughts are on how that might change how your passions might change once you start making money from it, and whether you may lose enjoyment from some of those things. What do you think?
Good question. I think if you are naturally good at it and you love doing it and you can make money from it, depending on the way you view money, to me, money is just an energy. So what you put out is what you get back. Then I think it could bring about a lot of joy if you value, bringing beautiful things into your life. And, the more you take care of you, the better you'll be for other people. So I always say to clients who, have a negative view of money, I always say, well, the better you looked after financially, the more you're able to look after you and fill your cup, the better you will be to other people around you and be able to contribute better in their lives. I guess it's just trial and error. I haven't found that my ikigai, bringing money in, has caused me to become distracted or enjoy it any less. In fact, I feel I enjoy it more because it's just the lifestyle I've now become used to. I guess it's trialing it out. Is there something you had in mind that you thought, oh, well, it meets all those other criteria and perhaps monetize it?
Well, actually, one of my biggest passions is drawing. And so I'm currently illustrating a children's book. And at the moment, it's only just going to go out to our family and friends and stuff. But I wondered whether, you know, when it turns into like, if we do any more, you know, more deadlines and not sort of the free-spirited, like, oh, I'm just going to do this for fun. I was wondering whether that might ruin it a little bit. So I guess I'll just have to find out.
And again, it's just looking at the balance. You know, if you're finding that it is taking too much time and your focus has now become on deadlines, then scale it back. You know, play with it. There's no concrete answer to that. It's always, but I would definitely give it a go. And maybe perhaps don't have the expectation to make a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
And just have the appreciation, which will bring us to our next point soon, for the actual activity in itself. I find that if you really appreciate and love something, money naturally flows to you into it. Anyone else want to comment on that? Anyone else have an opinion there? That's a great question you asked. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, Darren.
I find with that, because I have a love for travel, for example. So for me, it never ever feels like work. It's just, the money is just a reward for effort, I think. But I love it. I'm always up late working on things like that. So it's still fun. I still look at it as still a fun thing. But I agree with the deadlines, and when you become overworked and stressed, then you start to think, oh no. And what you're saying is right. Is like pull back and set your own boundaries. And
That's great. Thanks.
You've just got to have that acuity and know that when you need to, and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, just realize what you're doing, see it, and then make some changes and adjustments. So great points. Okay, so this is what I'd love you to all start doing more of, you know, even up until, you know, what's it, the 15th of May now. So perhaps maybe we'll all catch up in a month's time and we'll share some wonderful changes that we've made in our lives. Firstly, I want you to swap your expectations for appreciations. Now, this is so important in life. Dr. John Demartini is someone I follow very closely, and he's a behavioral scientist. And I absolutely love the work that he does. And he talks about in life, you know, there's always going to be a duality. And to experience joy all the time is unrealistic, and to experience down times is also unrealistic and unfair. But if you want to feel depressed and sad all the time, you know, then have an expectation that life is always going to be a certain way. And he actually talks about, you know, some really specific expectations that we tend to have in life. One expectation is that we expect people to always be one-sided. Always happy without being sad, always caring without taking, always nurturing and kind without being scornful. And if you have an expectation that people are always going to be one-sided, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. And the same could be said for yourself. Sometimes in business, we have an expectation of ourselves that we're always going to be up, we're always going to be on form, we're always going to be doing amazing work. And if we have that expectation of ourselves and that really strong or very high standard, which essentially we need to have, but we have an expectation of ourselves to be almost robotic, then we're going to fall flat into a state of overwhelm. Okay, so you want to be careful of that. He also talks about the expectation, the unrealistic expectation that we have, that others must live within our values. So we all are born with values and things that are important to us, but you can't expect other people to always align themselves with your values. And if you're experiencing anxiety and stress around a relationship, you've got to ask yourself, are you just expecting more of that person than they can perhaps offer at the time? Were they raised with different values and beliefs to yours? And is that something that needs to be discussed? The flip side of that is when you are living your life according to the values and expectations of everyone else around you. Okay. And that can cause a lot of anxiety and depression too. So be very, very mindful to find the things that are important to you. And that's what I've absolutely loved about Corona, you know, is that we have found for many of us more time to think, to contemplate. Some people are having existential crises and wondering where they're heading in life. But it's given us the opportunity to ask ourselves, is what we're doing actually aligned with our values? So if not, you have to change that. But what I'd love you to start doing is just having an appreciation for the people around you. A lot of people are now living in households where they're stuck with their partners more than they would have been in the past. People are getting stressed and anxious and fighting. And a lot of my clientele have actually suggested just start looking for examples of where that person is actually being quite lovely, quite amazing, and appreciate that person. Appreciate the fact that even though business might not be as good right now, and perhaps our income streams have reduced, that now we've actually gained more time to think, more time to watch Netflix for some of us, okay? It's something I never used to do. I'm actually binge watching some really awesome shows on Netflix. Never given myself the opportunity to do it, and it's actually been wonderful. So who's got some appreciations, just very quickly, you know, before we run out of time, yeah, go for it, Chloe.
I can cook now.
You can cook now. Amazing. This is great. I learned how to make cheese for the first time in my life. I started baking and doing some cooking things as well. Who else wants to share something that they've now doing? Yeah, go Shannon.
Well, I've stopped watching TV. I'm reading every night, and I very rarely do things with absolute consistency. And I have written in a journal when I've woken up every day for 14 days.
Wonderful. See, that's good stuff as well. I want to also just to take Dr. John Demartini's delusions a little bit further and say, we also need to stop having the expectation or that life, the universe, God, whatever you want to choose to believe in, is always going to be one-sided as well. That things are always going to be fantastic all of the time, hey? Because that's fantasy la sort of living, and you've got to be careful of living in that world of, you know, delusion as well. We've got to recognize that, you know, on this planet, we've got 4 seasons. We've got spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And right now we're experiencing winter essentially, or perhaps at some point soon we'll be moving into spring. So don't expect things to always be one way, because then you'll be bitterly disappointed. But with winter comes wonderful things as well, as with all the other seasons. Okay, so I'd like you all to start ikigaiing your work life. If there is something that's missing out of those 4 circles within your work life, see if you can implement it into that structure. Find a better cause. See if it's something that can be monetized better. For a lot of us, we're now seeing the value of technology, and that, you know, I've always done work internationally with clients via Skype and Zoom, but I'm far more comfortable with it now. And I'm now seeing that there's even the benefit of going for walks with clients as opposed to sitting in a stuffy office all the time, especially with teenagers. I've noticed a lot of the teens that I see are really benefiting from being outdoors, and we're walking and we're talking, and I'm just getting so much more out of them. So ikigai your workplace. Find other areas in your life to ikigai as well, okay? Because you can ikigai every single area of your world. And I wonder if you can even look differently at your relationships too, and see if you can implement this process in them as well. And then I want you to list the positive changes that you'll now implement in your life as a result of Corona, okay? So obviously we'll be hopefully catching up in a month's time, and we'll share what we've come up with. Personally, I'll be doing a lot more walks with clients. I'll also be having a bit more work balance, and there's going to be a few things that I'm going to change within the structure of my business that I'm actually looking forward to implement. So the question I want to open up to all of you is, who's going to change what? What things are you going to definitely keep from this this interesting time? Go, Darren. Yep.
I've been doing the walk and talk as well. So walking's really good for fitness, but also talking. So I know with Peter and I, we had a 1-hour walk and talk session the other day. So it's quite fun, and you're doing 2 things at once. So I'm going to keep doing that when it goes back to normal.
Fantastic. That's really good. And it's healthy for you. It's good for others. It's good for everyone. That's good. Who else wants to share something that they're going to continue doing? Peter?
Sorry, Sean, I've had IT problems all morning. Can't get onto my laptop, so I'm trying to do this over my phone. Yeah, we've raised similar topics in a couple of our fresh meetings, and I find it very heartening that people seem to have an amazing capacity to turn a negative into a positive, and particularly if we band together. And whilst you might have a couple of down moments yourself, if you just start talking about what can come of anything with anyone else, it just perpetuates a whole new framework. So I've really enjoyed that, and as much as it's a frustrating period for almost everyone, I just love the can-do approach that we have as a collective and what's possible when you get together. I haven't done anything as specific as, and I love the idea of Shannon journaling. I've heard so many good things about that, and meditating. There's so many things I want to try, but I've really focused on time management, because I just know that my greatest source of frustration is hopping to bed every night and thinking I had 8 hours today, and I reckon I only used 5 of them effectively. So I'm trying to find ways to get around that. So it's been positive for me too.
No, really, really good. One thing I've definitely noticed as well, in addition to what you're saying, Peter, is I've noticed that from a business perspective, and just what I've seen in the media when I have watched it, and the community, and seeing people walking, more so, and riding their bikes, and families out and about, is that the world needs a lot more connection. And I think if we can drive more wow factor on a connected level with our clients, and connect with them in a way that they haven't been used to in the past, and checking in on them, and just even personalizing text messages, and making people feel special, I think that's one thing we can take away from this whole experience. And if we can do that, I don't know, I think work life will be so much sweeter, so much better for everyone. Yeah, go for it, Linda.
Oh, I just love that, Sean. I just really want to say thank you for saying that. That intimate connection that we can develop with our clients can move to a whole new level in terms of them feeling as though they're really getting who we are, and also understanding how much we value who they are in our life, in our business, and as a contribution to ourselves. So thank you. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. And Linda, I just want to, again, thank you for your webinar. I absolutely adored it. It was so good. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you, by the way. But yes, wonderful things have come out of all of this. I think I saw another hand come up. Darren? Yep. Darren, yep. Waving your arms. Yep.
I think it's just what I've really enjoyed the most is what people have been doing is doing those are you okay type calls. Like, people are just ringing randomly, and it's not, and normally when people ring me, I always think, oh God, what do they want now? It's like, oh God, there's always wanting something. People are wanting something all the time. But now it's very different. It's actually, people are actually saying, look, I'm just ringing to see if you how you're doing, things like that. And it's so nice. And people that I actually haven't even heard from in a long, long, long time. So, yeah. I hope that continues. I hope people still continue to do things like that.
I hope so too. Martin, go for it. Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought about it from a work perspective, but from a personal perspective, being so far away from family, the relationship with my brothers has been sort of very distant. But since this, we've contacted, and we've been sort of sharing Zoom meetings, and the grandkids and kids have all sort of been talking together, which I think in the past we never really thought about doing, and the relationship has not been as close. So I think that's something that we've all said that we want to continue. In fact, we set up a Zoom meeting with all our family all over the world, so America, Australia, all on this in one time. And I think from a work perspective, I've been doing what Darren has been just said, and others have said about the calls and empathy and all that sort of stuff, but not really thinking about the impact it's been having on people, purely and simply because we just, from our perspective, have put such a value on our client base, and making sure that we see them through this to the other side. Because if we haven't got a client base after this, then you haven't got a business. So that's been one of the key factors from our perspective.
Very much so. And I've said from the very beginning that people will always look and see how you reacted and responded to Corona as well, as a business leader, as someone who is looking after them. They're going to look to see how you behaved. at this time. And that's why it's so important to be loving and kind and just compassionate to your clients as well, and being there for them. They'll remember it forever. Like Darren, I know Darren on a travel agent perspective, I mean, I know what's happened with your business and how much work you've put into it, often without pay, losing money. And yet anyone who's used you in the past and during this time will continue to use you and refer everyone to you based on how amazing you've been. And we've seen it. So walk the talk, essentially. Yeah. So if there are any other questions, or thanks, Darren, if there are any other questions or comments that want to be made, let's go for it. I think we'll be wrapping up very shortly. I just want to thank everyone for their time. Anyone else want to say anything else? Great. Well, I just want to say thank you. I've loved this. What a cool group of people, high quality, awesome individuals. I always love hanging out with you. And for those that I haven't met yet, please be in touch, and let's continue to be fresh, hey? And yeah, look after each other. Thanks so much.
That was fantastic.